Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It's time to talk baseball. No. It's time to talk some National Football League. And hello again. We just met here, Kyle. Coming back at you. The NFL never sleeps. I love having Football Fridays. Get you guys caught up on exactly what's going on and just have that creative thought process because we can't compartmentalize, Kyle, and take the NFL out of our equation, show up in late August, early September and say, hey, welcome back to the NFL. It's a full 12-month thing, and we're ready to kick it off, Kyle. Let's have some fun today.
Yep, I'm stoked. I love Football Fridays. And hey, listen, especially with the landscape right now, the football is in the headlines every single day, whether it's a free agent signing, whether it's, Deshaun Watson, we'll just say that with a whisper, and everything else. It's important to keep up on football. And you're exactly right. Once we start kicking into gear and we got the draft coming up, we'll be fully caught up, in touch with everything, keeping you guys in touch with everything. So happy to be here, and happy Friday, everyone. Cheers.
No, certainly happy Friday, and thanks again for tuning in to talk a little bit of football with us. We know there's a lot of stuff going out there. Major League Baseball might be on your monitor, sure. Maybe even a little bit of the Masters, but we're here to talk some NFL and certainly have some fun. The issue that keeps coming up, I shouldn't say an issue. That's the wrong word. Aaron Rodgers is on my TV a lot, not really for football reasons here, Kyle, but for actual Jeopardy questions. But our question today for the people out there, as we'll go over, is it's hard to win back-to-back MVPs. We always like the new shiny toy. The chances of Aaron Rodgers repeating as 2021 NFL MVP, to me, aren't good. And that's not to say he won't have a good year. They might win the Super Bowl. But when you try to improve on what you did last year, what are we looking at, Kyle? 65 touchdowns? What does he have to get to?
Right, and the NFL just doesn't like to do it, right? And I have to say, I have yet to. I'm excited Aaron Rodgers is on Jeopardy. I think he'd be great at. I emotionally am not ready to watch Jeopardy without Alex Trebek yet. My heart just can't take it. I just cannot do it yet. So I have yet to see it. The problem is, look, you're getting the second worst odds, plus 700. You're not getting a great number. The NFL doesn't like to do it. By my count, it's happened 4 times in the history of the NFL. Peyton Manning did it twice. Obviously, the 2 years with the Broncos, and then he did it twice with the Colts. The 1 year he shared that award back in 2003 with Steve McNair. Then you got to go back to Brett Favre, who actually did it 3 straight years in the mid-'90s, another Packers quarterback. Then you have Joe Montana in 88 and 89 did it twice. Then you have to go all the way back to 1957 when Jim Brown did it twice. It wasn't even called the MVP award back then, so they consider it a disputed award. It's just not something pro leagues like to do. I mean, you look at the NBA with Michael Jordan. He should have been the MVP every single year he played. They just didn't want to do it every year. That's why guys like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone would get the MVP award. They just don't like to do it. So I would say the odds aren't great. And you know how the Packers are. They don't like to help their quarterback either in free agency. So I find it very unlikely that he'll repeat. It's just not something leagues like to do, or sports writers, for that matter, who bet on it like to do.
And Akbar says in the chat box, one more time with the drink with my guys. Yes. I mean, Kyle's got the mimosa. I got the monster. So we're all lined up here. One's alcoholic. One is alcohol and calorie free to try to get me through this Friday. But I love to talk NFL. It's definitely rejuvenating. Patrick Mahomes, I'm just looking at DraftKings odds right now. Mahomes plus 600 to win the MVP. Aaron Rodgers 800 on their ticker. Josh Allen 13-1. Tom Brady 14-1. Matthew Stafford, which is an interesting one at 14-1 out there for LA. The one thing that I do like about Aaron Rodgers and a chance for the repeat is fairly simple. They have a really good team, the Packers. And if you look around that division, they should win it. And a lot of times you need to be out front. You need a 14-3 record this year.
Yeah.
That's what it would be. There's no more 14-2 since we have the extra game. Yeah. But he's going to be in the limelight all season. But if anybody has, let's just say Matthew Stafford has it's funny that I say this, 12-5, still getting used to the numbers, and puts them in the playoffs, has a big year, he would seemingly get the nod because he's that new shiny toy, as opposed to, what are you going to do? Just give it to Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, he's got 43 touchdowns and 7 picks, but we gave it to him last year. I think that's the only knock that I can look forward to, unless you just say Aaron Rodgers is getting old and he's not going to play well. And I don't see that, Kyle.
No, he's going to play well. He's going to be very, very good like he always is. And like you said, they like the new shiny toy. So a guy like Josh Allen, who you just mentioned at 13-1, a lot of hype. The Bills getting further and further every year. So if you get comparable numbers between Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers, and the Bills win the AFC East and get a bye week, Josh Allen is going to get more votes than Aaron Rodgers simply because he won it last year. That's just how it is. And you got to remember, it's these sports writers who vote on this, right? They don't like to go back to back. And what's up to my boy Brock in the chat box? Thanks for joining the show. That kid can outdrive me, which is a sad, sad reality, but a fantastic golfer. I love my boy Brock. But no, guys like that are going to get more votes. So if you have a guy who hasn't won the award and he's a young player and the NFL's promoting him and they have comparable numbers and comparable win totals, you're going to see it go to that guy. So I'm really hesitant to put any sort of anything on Aaron Rodgers going back to back because it's just so tough to do.
We've seen it. Like you take a look at the NBA, like a Giannis or, back in the day, one of the great players that has gone back to back. What does Giannis have to do this year? Score 100 points a game to get it again? I mean, that's legitimately what you have to do to try to win it. If you match up, I say, hey, we have the same record. We won the East, and I put up a point better, and I'm not the MVP this year. That's just the way it works with the theory process behind what people like. We want something new. Aaron Rodgers will have a good year. The Packers will have a good year. He might have the same exact statistical numbers matched up against everybody else, and they might just look in a different direction. That's what's holding Aaron Rodgers back, not necessarily, Kyle, that he's not good enough in theory to win. Let's keep moving and going on some free agency process because it's nice. We haven't had a show for a little bit, but to able to go in and try to delve into the Patriots and what they've done in free agency. Because to me, I like what they've done in free agency, but it all comes back to the expectations. And once some of these win numbers come out, the win totals for the teams, we'll be able to sink our teeth into, is this a double-digit win football team? Is this a 9-win football team? Can they challenge in the AFC? Now, particularly right now, lined up with Cam Newton, will they be competitive? Yes, they have a really good coaching staff. If they're healthy, they have talent to be competitive. But 8 and 9 seasons, 7 and 10 seasons, that's not competitive with what Bill Belichick likes. If they make a move for the quarterback, and I'm still here on this pedestal because we don't think Deshaun Watson's actually going to get moved. He was going for 4 first-round picks. He might go for a 7th-round flyer if he ever plays again in the NFL, the way some of this stuff is turning out. But a competent quarterback that can drop back, make a quick read, and deliver the ball, that is huge if the Patriots can get their hands on that. And I will continue to say this. If Jimmy G has a reunion in New England, they're going to make the playoffs. Yep,
took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's their only hope. Like, do I like what they did in free agency? Sure. Have they been aggressive, more aggressive than they've ever been under the Belichick era? Absolutely. But if Cam Newton's going to be their starting quarterback, not for me. My expectations are about the same. I do think the defense will be better. They'll get some of those players back, and we know how good Belichick is on the defensive side of the ball, and that defense really does have the talent to be one of the top 3, 4, or 5 defenses in the NFL. But if Cam Newton's your quarterback, you're not going anywhere. The guy can't hit the broadside of the barn. It's the worst arm in the entire league. I'm sorry, it really is. But you've heard some rumors. I mean, he just is. I mean, I would take Ben DiNucci as my quarterback, honest to God, over Cam Newton. I really would. I really, really would. He just can't throw the football. But there is all of these rumors, and we know the connection there. If for some reason Jimmy G finds his way to New England, then you start to sit back and go, okay, we've got a competent passer, a guy who can drop back 3 steps and hit a guy with some timing and hit him in stride. If they don't do that, and it is weird, just hearing you say 7 and 10 and 8 and 9, that is damn weird. I'm sorry, that is
it's
weird.
It's too much math for me, by the way. Because you used to the 16 for so long, so you can quickly equate 7 and 9, 6 and 10. Now you have 17, and I have to take like an extra few reps in my head about what that actually means. And am I adding this up correctly? This is madness.
It is madness, but I'm very happy about it, by the way. I actually saw some people who didn't want the extra games. Like, are you not an NFL fan?
Thank you. Yep, let's break. We're going to stay on Cam Newton here for a second.
Yeah.
Riddle me this, Kyle. If I would have said, let's just go back where nobody was talking about this 5 years ago, and I said, look at this, Kyle. I'm going to take away a preseason game, which everybody hates. I'm going to give you another regular season game. I said this the other day. There would be a Roger Goodell ticker tape parade in New York City if he gave us this. But now, because we just like to hate on everything, well, 16, this is ridiculous. Are we kidding ourselves?
It's the dumbest thing. It's like someone saying, hey, it's like if when you're a kid and your parents go, hey, I'm going to give you an allowance, but instead of once a week, I'm going to give it to you twice a week. When you're like, you know what, Mom and Dad? the one allowance is enough. I don't want any more. No, it's beautiful. It's the most fantastic. I might dance in my Speedo in the front yard because I'm so excited for an extra week of football. I never want football to end. And when you talk to your friends who are football fans, don't they always say, "Oh, when the Super Bowl is coming around, I'm happy because I love the Super Bowl, but it's also sad because the season's ending." Well, guess what? We're giving you another week. Quit bitching. It's awesome. I love the extra week of football. We'll get used to the math. But as we sit right here, if Cam Newton's the quarterback, Patriots are a meh for me.
By the way, it's a bonus week. They did it wrong, and I don't know why they did this. It shouldn't be the 17th game. You can't do, well, you got extra week. Let's just put it the 17th week. The 17th week should always be divisional matchups because of how much they mean to try to get the most competitiveness that you can possibly get at a week 17. They should make it a year, like a random, like a week 7 every year, and they could call it like the bonus week. Almost like throw it out there as something cool, like, hey, this is the game that we're getting, and we're going to match up the best team from this division with the best team of that division and continue to go all the way down. They really missed their mark on that, which I think people say, oh, week 17 is not going to matter. In what world do we live in where you not say another week? It's the same people that say baseball has got too many teams in the playoffs. The more games, the better. There's more content. There's more bets. There's more fun. There's more millionaire maker competitions. But yes, back to the Patriots here quickly on Cam Newton. Looking towards the draft, this is an interesting spot because smoke screens are going around where we're looking and saying, are we going to draft a quarterback? Mac Jones, because we're going to talk about Mac Jones in a little bit, so I don't want to spoil that one. But let's just say, Justin Fields is still there. Smart for them to trade up and go get a guy?
Yes.
You can't go into the season with Cam. That's what the crux of this question is, right? That's what we're asking.
You just can't. If Cam Newton was going to be your option, you may as well jump the ship on what Washington did and go get Ryan Fitzpatrick. You may as well do something because it's obvious they don't believe in Jarrett Stidham, and we've heard about I'm done hearing about, oh, we love Jarrett Stidham. If you liked Jarrett Stidham, there is no way in bleeping hell you would start Cam Newton over him. I can't think of a more incompetent timing passer. Look, is he a terrific athlete? For sure. Is he an asset in the red zone? Use him maybe in a Jacoby Brissett type of way like the Colts did last year? Absolutely. But you cannot tell this guy to go back, take a 3-step drop, and hit a 7-yard in route. He just can't do it. He simply cannot do it. How you could ever expect to be competitive with him as your quarterback is beyond me. So they're going to have to do something. And if they don't, the Patriots are going to be one of those teams most likely that I'll pass on all year because it's going to be real up and down and maybe you let a couple passes. Maybe the defense plays well. But until they have a real quarterback, they're a complete meh pass. And all the other things they did, you got 2 great tight ends. Fantastic. Who's going to throw him the ball? Who's going to throw him the ball? You may as well have Teddy Bruschi as your quarterback if you're going to play Cam Newton.
Yep. No, and that's the decision. And we're going to talk about that all season until possibly the draft comes up, which we're going to have a lot more content here on the draft coming up over the next couple weeks. Sure. Exciting times in the NFL. It's a 12-month year. I know we play from September all the way through to the Super Bowl in February, but the NFL is 12 months, and we're going to give you that content right here at sportsbookreview.com. Let's keep it moving down the list and talk a little Miami Dolphins. One of those teams, those destiny teams along with the Jets that try to control the draft, multiple draft picks. Where are we going? Are we building around Tua? Is Tua not the guy? But you add Will Fuller, which is fantastic. But does that take you out of the market here, Kyle, for a wide receiver? Because if you're looking to see if your quarterback is any good, don't we want to load up on weapons for the kid? Hey, maybe there's a good tackle in the draft that's going to be available at 6. Maybe there's a really good cornerback that's going to be available at 6. But to me, it's an offensive league. Stack the line of scrimmage with playmakers for your quarterback, whether it's going to be Jamar Chase on the outside. Is it going to be Kyle Pitts as a tight end? You already have Gesicki there, but I know a lot of teams like to have that double tight end shot. Yeah. You go 12 personnel and you could really get an advantage on some of the linebackers and safeties. But I got to tell you, it's kind of fun when you line up, let's just say Devontae Parker, also Will Fuller, and then
when you talk about adding Will Fuller, the problem with Will Fuller is what? His durability, right? The guy never completes a full season. Last year, he was finally healthy for every game he played, and then he gets suspended for PEDs. So it starts to make a lot of sense, right? So you can't sign Will Fuller and think, okay, my Z receiver is done for the year because we're going to have Will Fuller. He's not durable enough. The guy is always injured, and the 1 year he's not injured, he gets busted for steroids, which sort of explains why he wasn't injured. So I think they have to go offense here. They got to give Tua every weapon in the world. Uh, it's too early to draft running back, although I think a guy like Najee Harris would look so wonderful in that offense. It would really give them last year you sort of saw what they did. Gaskin played pretty well. You had Ahmed. Of course, they lost Matt Breida. They need a running game in Miami. They got to take the pressure off that quarterback. But, of course, where they're drafting at is too early to draft a running back. For me, it's Pitts. It's a wide receiver. I just don't think you can trust Will Fuller to be healthy enough to say, hey, we've solved that problem opposite Devontae Parker. And Devontae Parker, for that matter, doesn't stay healthy either. I mean, how many games is he questionable and hurt? Hamstring, this, that, and the third. We've dealt with that for years with Devontae Parker. So they absolutely need to get themselves a young, durable weapon on the outside. So when Will Fuller does go down and Devontae Parker does go down, they still have someone they can get the ball to. I think that's where the Dolphins should go in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know if Pitts is going to be around at that time. And we have a couple of questions here coming up, which we're going to answer those in just a few moments. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking from a perspective of getting a playmaker, there is going to be a legitimate one there. Now, always the question comes up now, as you saw, Devontae Smith, who's an electric player, but people start to question, the size of him, and he goes in because, to me, the best wide receiver overall in the draft is Chase out of LSU. If you watch him the year before when they won the title, you think Justin Jefferson, who came in and said a rookie record is good. This kid was better than Justin Jefferson in college, and he is special, tested out, does everything well. I can't fault him if it's the Alabama combination, but it's a poker game in the draft. It's not like like he's going to be a good player, Devontae Smith, but there's the value of Devontae Smith is not at like 5 or 6. It's at that 8 or 9 type range. You don't want to overreach, and you could trade back and make a couple maneuvers there, but I think they should go directly with a playmaker for the Miami Dolphins. Let's talk Mac Jones, because this is getting a lot of play here throughout the draft. And I heard somebody say the other day, because I'm trying to figure out what the 49ers are doing. I hated the move that they made, but I said, okay, usually when you make that move, Kyle, it's for an electric upside guy that you have to have now, because you don't know if this sort of talent will be around in the next 2 to 3 years, if that makes sense to you, right? So as I'm looking right now and I'm trying to play it out, did they give up 2 or 3 first-round picks for Mac? Did they really do that for Mac Jones? That doesn't make sense to me. Now, everything behind the scenes is leaning towards Mac Jones, and that's all fine if that's your guy. But trading drafts away for him when I don't see that. Like if they went Justin Fields, I'd say, you know what, electric guy that maybe they think he has upside. He's as big as Cam Newton. They see something in him that they can make him a generational talent. Mac Jones might be a great quarterback. I'm not trading drafts away to get him, though, Kyle.
And you didn't need to move up to 3 to get Mac Jones.
Yes.
You did. If Mac Jones is your guy, you could have traded up to 8, or you could have just stayed where you were. Justin Fields has absolutely got to be the guy here, unless the Jets surprise everyone and take Fields, and then Zach Wilson is there, and then boom, you take Zach Wilson. Mac Jones cannot be the guy, and I've heard the reports like Colin Cowherd. He loves to do this, right? I have my sources telling me. Colin Cowherd's, by the way, just a monster douche. Okay, just plain and simple. I've actually had the opportunity to talk with him and got to know him a little bit. Monster douche. He doesn't have any damn sources. He's just making up a story. Kyle Shanahan wants Mac Jones, but John Lynch wants Justin Fields. I've been a 49er fan for over 30 years. If the 49ers traded up to 3 to take Mac Jones, you're going to see a very angry 49er fan next year and someone who might be rooting for a different team, because it just cannot happen. You saw his pro day too. The kid does not even have remotely close to the upside of Justin Fields. I would be shocked if it's Mac Jones. I think that's a lot of smoke and mirrors to try to get other teams to do different things. I feel like this kid's going to have one of those Aaron Rodgers days on draft day, because he is one of the kids that reported that's going to be at the draft. The Niners are not going to take him. Please, 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 baby Jesus, do not let my 49ers take Mac Jones at 3. I think the pick there will be Justin Fields. And then I
honestly do, because
don't say that.
But it does. I think he could be a really good quarterback for the 49ers. That's not my issue. But it's one, if you said we're going to give our 1 this year and a 3 next year and move up, because you're still getting a 1 back, obviously, because you're going to pick Mac Jones in the first round. That's why you're trading up. But the fact, like, it's not a generational type guy. Like, this just seems like one of those guys where there's one or two of them every single year in the draft that gets overdrafted. There's going to be a Mac Jones next year. Do you see what I mean? Like, this isn't one of those, like, if we don't get him now, we're never going to be in position to get him. And trading up to the 3, if you traded up to the 1, you're going to get, obviously, Trevor Lawrence. That's exactly who you want. Generational guy. You'll live with giving up 3 first-rounders and some draft capital to move up. Outside of that, and you're not even getting to 2 where you can sort of hold the cards, and maybe on draft day where a team calls you up and goes, I want Zach Wilson so bad, I'll give you whatever you traded and another pick on top of it, and you slide down 4 picks, and you can still take your quarterback. The draft up to number 3 to move all that and then take Mac Jones, it's flying way over my head because I'm not understanding it all that much in that aspect. I mean, this coming from a team, Kyle, your 49ers, they're ready to win now, so it's kind of odd.
Yeah. It would make me the last time I was really, really angry at the 49ers draft. Well, one, I was mad when they took Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers. And full disclosure, I remember we didn't really think we needed a quarterback necessarily there. I was like, trade down and take Braylon Edwards, if you guys can remember who Braylon Edwards. I would have been wrong about that.
Yep.
So let's just clarify some of that. But it is so weird to trade up because you just don't need to trade up to 3 to get Mac Jones. He's not a top 3 talent. Justin Fields is. I know there's some unknowns there, but when you watch this guy play in those big games, he gets it done against those big teams. If they draft Mac Jones, the last time I was super angry besides that Alex Smith is when they drafted a kid named Israel Ifeanyi out of USC. And I've never been more angry in my life. And you can go up and look up Israel Ifeanyi's NFL stats. You're not going to find much.
I don't know. But when did they draft it? Who's that guy?
Yeah, Israel Ifeanyi. Exactly right. That's exactly right. And they drafted him late in the first round, and he sucked and did nothing. So go ahead, make sure you Google Israel Ifeanyi, and you'll know exactly why I was so angry at that draft pick. And that's how I would feel if they took Mac Jones. Israel Ifeanyi. Yeah, there you go. There's a blast from the past. Enjoy that. Nobody that the Niners drafted in the first round.
No, I don't know if I'll be able to deal with that. But the simple fact that they traded up and used all that draft capital really isn't making all that much sense. But maybe it plays out on draft day. But every one of those smoke screens coming up is all Mac Jones. And we'll see if it makes it happen, which then leads you to believe where is Justin Fields and where is he going to end up. So the draft, to me, it doesn't really start at 3 because I think the 49ers are going to go quarterback, and it's probably going to be Mac Jones. The interesting part of the draft to me comes up here at number 4, and that's with the Atlanta Falcons and what they're actually going to do. There's so many things that they can do. You have, a high price, expensive, older quarterback that you're still going to have on your roster, right? In Matt Ryan.
Sure.
The smart play is you're not really this far up in the draft all that much in the NFL because you stink and you have to stink real bad to get a top 5 pick. There are intriguing quarterbacks that will still be on the list. Let's just say Mac Jones does go 3. Trey Lance will be out there or Justin Fields. You bring them in, you restart your franchise. That's how teams usually do it. But you have Kyle Pitts that's sitting there, but not the trigger man necessarily in Matt Ryan, because if you load up and say, if we're projecting, and this is going to be a wrong projection, Julio Jones is going to be healthy next year. He's never healthy. He won't be healthy. Will be questionable to doubtful every week and won't practice the entire season. But let's just say he's on the roster and he's there. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Pitts. That is an awesome combo. Do you still have to fix your defense a little bit? Certainly you do. But is Matt Ryan going to be reinvigorated next year, Kyle, if he gets Kyle Pitts, and that's going to solve all the issues?
I don't know if it'll solve all the issues, but I think it might fix some of the here's the Falcons, right? They have half an offense, and that's when Julio Jones plays injured, because that's basically the only time that he plays, right? When he's out, we talk about it every week. We would take this Falcons team total at 19.5 or 20.5, but Julio Jones isn't going to play. And even though I think Calvin Ridley's a good player, and I guess some people think that Russell Gage is a good player, they did trade a second-round pick for Hayden Hurst. It would make sense to me to add a weapon like a Kyle Pitts so they're not so reliant on the hamstring of Julio Jones, because we know how this works. It's ankle, it's hamstring. He's questionable every single week, and when he doesn't play, we see the real Matt Ryan, which is just not very good. I don't know how else to put it. He's not very good. So I'm 2 trains of thought on this one. How much do they like Trey Lance? Is maybe Mac Jones available there? Do they like Mac Jones a lot? So you have 2 options at quarterback, and virtually no NFL team because they're all a little delusional, especially the crappy ones. They think, oh, we won't be pick 4 next year. We're going to be better. We're gonna win the division. That's not going to happen for the Falcons next year. So I think it would be a mistake for them if they're not in love with one of these young quarterbacks. And I've heard a lot of Trey Lance talk to the Falcons. First 4 picks, maybe even the first 4 picks, 5 of the first 6 going quarterback, all that crap. They're going to have their choice, in my opinion, and if the universe unfolds, of Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Can they pass one of them up to go for a playmaker to sort of help out this offense if they think they have any shot of winning? Even though I don't think they do, really what they should do is go after offensive line and defense and shore up the rest of that team. It's going to be hard for them to pass on a quarterback at 4. It always is. It won't shock me if you see Trey Lance go to the Falcons.
Because to me, you're nothing without a quarterback. And we are slighting Matt Ryan a little bit. If he has some time and he's upright mobility and has a lot of weapons, can he be successful in the NFL? He certainly can. Yeah. But the question comes down to me is, let's just say you are at 4. And it's interesting that the Falcons are there, because this is one of the few teams that I think would take Kyle Pitts over Jamar Chase, because they don't really need a wide receiver, but they could use an unbelievable tight end. And even around NFL circles, Kyle, asking the question of, in this draft, who's the most likely player to be the Hall of Fame guy, it actually is Kyle Pitts. He has everything you need at a position in the NFL where we see dominate. Travis Kelce's of the world, out there for the San Francisco 49ers, George Kittle. There are some electric tight ends that really change the shape of the field and open everything up. He can be that guy. It's hard for me to say, I'm going to go Trey Lance and leave a Hall of Fame caliber talent on the board for somebody else. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, you don't win without really good football players. And maybe you say next year the salary cap's going up, we can cut Matt Ryan. Hey, we see quarterbacks move around quite a bit. We can attract a decent guy, or maybe go back to the draft for another one. Because you don't want to be that guy that says, boy, after 8 years and you have a tight end that's like Tony Gonzalez, and you say, we passed on him, and this quarterback flamed out that we took.
Right. And that's the thing. It feels like NFL teams panic all the time to move up and take these guys every year. Yeah. I mean, what's going to happen right after this draft is done? It's going to be Mel Kiper and Todd McShay's big board of who's the top quarterback next year. And it's going to be, hey, this is one of these generational talents at quarterback. And next year there'll be 5 quarterbacks that everybody wants to take in the first round. And teams are going to go, why the hell did I trade all this capital to move up for this guy when I could have just waited and had this guy next year when I already had a quarterback in place? It just doesn't make any sense. So if I'm the general manager of the Falcons, I'm taking a Sewell, I'm taking a Chase, I'm taking a Pitts. I'm going to add to my team and make it better. And then you're already paying Matt Ryan all this money. It's not like Matt Ryan's 45 and his arm is dead. You know what you're getting out of Matt Ryan. So for me, it's a mistake when these teams panic and take these quarterbacks early. There's a guy you like next year. There's always a team who's going to be willing to trade down and willing to take your first round pick the following year after, so you can go back and get that quarterback. If I'm the Falcons, I know where I would go. I think it'd be a mistake to take quarterback, but it sort of feels like that's where it's trending, right? Where Trey Lance is really falling into that slot. For me, if I'm them, I'm taking Pitts or I'm taking Sewell, making my team better and worrying about quarterback next year.
And I agree, because if we can switch quarterbacks from the guy we started talking about, which was Cam Newton today, if Cam Newton was on Atlanta, we'd say, you got to go quarterback here. That's the only spot. Matt Ryan can at least be functional if he's upright to make the right read and have a dominant offense. So we'll see if that plays into it. But nice little NFL show here, Kyle. Compact 30 minutes to keep everybody up to date. The draft is right around the corner. And once you start getting past the draft, you got OTAs and into the summer we go. And before you know it, we're going to be doing live shows going, hey, let's break down the odds now that we're close to the NFC season, the AFC season, and really get after a couple things like that. But it's nice to come on a Friday, have a few things to talk about. And we always talk about content that's good all summer long. Say, well, guys, why are you doing an NFL show when it's baseball season? This is why we do it. So at your leisure over the weekend, next week, you know what? I'm really having an NFL Jones. Let me check out to see what sportsbookreview.com has got going on. We will keep you posted on everything in the NFL as we move along and get closer to the National Football League season, which kickoff, it just seems like the Super Bowl was yesterday, but here we're on April. Before it, we'll be talking May, June, July, and off we go into August with the pro season. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Kyle Purviance. We are sportsbookreview.com, and this was your NFL show, yes, for April 9th. 2021. Good luck on those future wagers out there.